Happy New Year, everyone. I'm over at this glass table here. When I'm over here, that usually means that I'm about to do one of my annual ranking videos where I will go through almost everything that I cooked this year, and it's like a report card. It's a year in review. Last year's video, I only covered the Julia Child stuff from Jamie and Julia, but this year we've added a new series into the mix, Jamie and Chef. We got other chefs and cookbook authors joining the party now, so yeah, I'm gonna make two separate lists from worst to best. Now, the cookbooks and the chef's recipes will not be judged here today. We're having a laugh at my expense. All of my results, everything that I cooked, that's what's on the table today. And then once we're done with the two lists, we'll bring it all home for the grand conclusion. There's a couple things that are going to be excluded from these lists. I did two cage match episodes, a roast chicken and beef bourguignon. I review all that in the video, so I don't think it needs to be covered here today. I did two Jamie and Julia 30-minute dinners, a ham and a steak one, and that's more like a challenge where I like to see if I can accomplish these 30-minute meals in under 30 minutes. Spoiler alert, I can't do it. It's a fail every time. It's like a rushed kind of thing. I don't think it needs to be included with everything else. And then most recently, I did a Thanksgiving and a Christmas feast. Those will not be included here either because they're just like their own separate thing. Okay, cool. So strict, pointless rules are out of the way. Done. We got the most to cover with the Julia Child stuff, and that's a good place to start.
Oh! Bon appetit.
Number 34, dead last, is dressy chicken in aspic surrounding chicken liver mousse. So aspic was dead last year, and it's sad to say that it has made no progress. I think it's officially my least favorite food of all time. It is a meat jello, very jiggly. It's not to say that what I'm making is even correct. It's a shoddy made version of aspic. And that makes it even worse. The texture, the temperature, the smell, I don't like any of it. And Julia Child's recipe specifically adds like a sweet wine. Now, anytime I smell this wine outside of the show, I think of aspic. I was trying to match the photo in this cookbook. Some cold chicken breasts here with olives and red peppers on top. Then there was a coating of aspic on top of those. And then chicken liver mousse, which was pretty good. It's just surrounded by everything that was not great. So, anyway, great start. Number 33 is the Flaming Soufflé, aka a rum, orange, and macaroon soufflé flambéed. It was just too much booze. There's booze in the soufflé mix. And then obviously I was just using too much, and then you're pouring it on top as well with the brandy, and yeah, you want to get the flambé. That's the whole point of the recipe, right? But that soufflé just acts like a sponge, keeps all that liquor inside, and holy hell, was that bad. Wow. When I'm thinking about the aspic and how I couldn't eat that, I'm like, okay, well, this one too. So it's like, okay, maybe I got a tie for dead last this year. Pretty close. This one just narrowly beats the aspic. 32, we got the veal Prince Orloff. Milk, cream, cheese, butter. There's veal in there too, believe it or not. There's just too much going on. It's excess of everything. Maybe that's the point. Probably the point. But any more than a tiny slice and I'm gonna start worrying about my health. So... Lactose, am I right? Number 31 is crêpe à la piperade. It's like a cheesy pancake thing going on here. I described it as pizza without the carbs. Fairly forgettable. In fact, appearance-wise, it kind of looks like something I used to make before I started cooking. So I guess I've gone full circle. 30 is the heart-shaped meringue layer cake. Time has passed now. It's given me a lot of time to think about this recipe, as you know, I just sit there thinking about heart-shaped meringue layer cakes throughout the days. And the filling was just essentially mostly just butter. Okay, I need to know what that tastes like. It tastes like butter. You know, truth be told, the meringue was a bit chewy. if memory serves. It did work when it was all together in front of me, but now that I'm thinking about it, I can pick apart all these little things. But hey, Jamie in the past looks like he's enjoying it, so who do you trust? Me or him? I'm honest with both assessments, I think. Number 29, Apple Snow. It's a fluffy applesauce with a caramel sauce that I most definitely botched. Tad forgettable, I'm gonna be frank. Number 28, Tuna à la Provençale. Let's just say tuna recipes have changed since the 60s. Again, being frank. 27, Moussaka. I made this as a redo because a few years ago I made it. It was the worst thing I had made on the show at the time. It was like hand in hand with the aspic. That's like the level of bad we're talking here. I was convinced it was because of how terrible a job I did the first time, like following along. Yeah, I don't know, I screwed the pooch. So a redemption was in order, and it got it. This is 2 years in the making right here. The dish is complete. Order up! But there's just so much work involved here, and it doesn't really resemble a moussaka that I've ever come across, and the results are just fine. So, merely fine. Number 26, beef tongue braised in curry. It's the first of 2 beef tongue recipes we have on this list today. Stepped out of my comfort zone for these ones. This one has like a chicken salad vibe going on with the curry, and then there's raisins. It's an interesting dish. That's what it has going for it, is the interesting part to it. And there's mashed potatoes too. So yeah, that helped. Here's the thing, and I mentioned this on the day. It's like when you're filming with all the lights shining down on the beef tongue and you can look at all the detail going on with that tongue, you just get a really good understanding of what you're eating, which makes it a very memorable dish. It never really gets easier holding this thing. Watercress. It's kind of a now or never situation here with that sauce. The longer it's sitting on the steak, the more it's splitting. Order! I set up a second camera and heated my coffee up in the microwave. Keeping busy. Let's move on to number 25, steak frite with béarnaise sauce. Okay. Steak frite is one of my favorite things to eat at a restaurant. Making at home for this show, different story. This dish in particular was just a struggle to make behind the scenes. It was just, couldn't find the groove to the video while I was filming it. By the time I ate it, it was cold. You can't separate yourself from certain memories once they get attached to something like that. It's like the longer that the sauce was waiting to be served, the rougher it looks. Like right there, it's rough. Hard to get past that. Still liked it, but yeah, you know what I mean? Let's move on. So number 24, we're returning to the tongue. Boiled beef tongue with sweet and sour sauce. Honestly, this one was tasty. Can't believe I'm putting it before the steak frite on this list. 2023, you're full of surprises. Oh my God. Whoa! Wow, that is f***ing wild. And yeah, I had some wine. Gave me the liquid courage to get through. So I was a bit buzzed, and yeah, the sweet and sour sauce was nice, and the asparagus. I enjoyed this. Number 23, we're going with the coffee cake ring. Very generous select. I would consider this a delightful little afternoon treat. This whole thing reminded me of cinnamon rolls, and I made a spiced brioche dough to go along with it, and I recall Julia saying that spiced brioche dough is not for the fat or the faint-hearted. The fat? Julia? Damn, Julia. That's what I remember. Number 22, crepe soufflé Mariposa. I mainly remember the strawberry sauce with this one. World's greatest strawberry sauce. I kid you not. It's incredible. The dessert was, That is a top tier quality dessert right there. I cannot fault this dessert in the slightest, besides the short shelf life and the silly appearance. Number 21, we got applesauce caramel mold. Remember that? A dessert nearly ruined by the demise of my beloved Charlotte mold. That's not good. Parts of the metal in here has come off into the dessert. I didn't get to enjoy it to its full potential, that's for sure. But I had enough to form some sort of opinion on it. And it looks great from afar, but the devil is in the details. The whole dessert is tainted. It's tough to place this on the list. So am I being unfair or am I being just with the placement? I don't know. Number 20 is duck pate baked in its own skin. I like this thing. It's not like a meal, it's an appetizer. You spread some on a baguette, you're good. But it is like pretty wild, this recipe. It's not only is it duck, but it's also pork in there as well. Yeah, it's hard to get past the appearance of the skin and how pale it is. It was under the broiler for a bit and I couldn't get it to brown, but it was chilled, so I didn't want to heat it up too much, so I bounced on that idea. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, why don't I just take a blowtorch and just go to town on it, brown it that way? Didn't cross my mind. Also, some weird things were happening when I was making this. So I need to oil it. Oiled. Okay, this needs to be oiled.
Bon appétit!
I had a visitor. Cool. Okay, once it's oiled. Can you see that? That is spinning, and it's been doing that for like 5 minutes, and I don't know what's going on. Why is that spinning? Now that I've caught on to what it's doing, it's slowed down. But that was bizarre. Number 19 is a half-boned stuffed chicken in a pastry. What? Number 19, half-boned stuffed chicken in a pastry. Or as I call it, the Frankenstein chicken. A lot of big things going on with this recipe, with half-boning it, deboning it, elaborate stuffing, a pastry crust, crashed and burned a few times trying to get to the finish line. At the end of the day, I was like, what is this all for here? I guess I understand the wow factor if you're showing it to people and initially they'd be like, wow, what the hell is that? There's a lot of similarities with the components and the flavor that you're just like, okay, is that chicken pot pie? Because it could be. Just make a chicken pot pie instead. That's what I was thinking. Am I hinting at something to come? Maybe so. Okay, number 18 is boeuf à la catalane. It's like a beef stew. This is something that was filmed very early in the year, so taking all the lessons that I've learned throughout the year, I feel like I would have known better to add some water to this damn thing and bring it back to like a stew level, because right now it's got like a casserole vibe going on, but the flavors were there. It was damn good. Ugly delicious, as I described. But ugly. Oh, I got smoked. 17 is the chocolate mousse molded in meringues, saucier glacé. I mean, it's got chocolate mousse, so I don't know what we're supposed to say in the flavor department. Obviously, it's going to be good. The whole molding process with this still doesn't make any sense to me because it was so tricky and difficult not to break those meringue pieces because you put those in first, that's what she said, then you add the chocolate mousse. Then you freeze it, you unmold it and all that. But after making it, I was like, well, why didn't you just stick the pieces of meringue on the outside of the dessert once it was frozen? That would have avoided the whole breaking the meringues when you're trying to mold it. I don't know. Love the dessert though. Yow. It's gonna leave a mark. Cruising right along here to number 16 is creme caramel. You know, after everything we've gone through on this list so far, it's odd to say this, but everything worked out with this one. When I unmolded it, I couldn't believe it. And I think I made what Julia had intended me to make here. The appearance is spot on. And the thing about this dessert is it's not so special if you don't have the caramel. So you need that. If you don't have it, forget about it. Number 15, chicken pot pie. I told you it was coming. It's something that suffers from the same problem as that beef stew. It's the opposite problem though, because instead of adding water to it, this thing was too runny, the filling. Still kind of bothers me, honestly. That filling is runny and you're still adding it in there. All right. You just kind of shake your head at yourself because, again, all the things I've learned throughout the year, a full year has almost gone by. I'm like, okay, well, you wouldn't do that now, would you? That all being said, me and the girl that lives in that room there, right here, we both love this thing, soupy or not. So yeah, flavors were all there. I feel like chicken pot pie isn't that difficult to make, Jamie. So next time, get it right. Thicker filling. It's still very comforting. You want to just use like a cheat code for the next few of them? Just breeze right through them. Number 14, beef pot roast. Solid. Number 13, the Empress's rice. I just made this one. Spectacular rice pudding with the world's greatest strawberry sauce. Number 12, chocolate cake. And despite all the freaking issues I had making this thing, so this cake right here has some serious problems. You know, I wanted a chocolate cake. That's what I got. That's what I made. It was great. Number 11, stuffed onions. It's fantastic. Here we go. Number 10 is the onion tart, pissaladiere. I ate like half of this thing in minutes. In minutes! Someone will tell me I should be pushing those onions darker, like caramelizing them more so. And to whoever that person is, do that with your own tart. I just said I ate half of that in minutes. Number 9, fish canal. The Whiz Kid, the food processor, had the most pungent fish smell attached to it for like a week afterwards. I had to keep cleaning that thing. I was like, what the hell is that smell? It's a food processor. It was worth it. And as I describe here, it's just a treasure. Number 8 is the Torte Limousine. Potato pie with herbs and cream. Freaking love this thing. So hot. There's a really funny blunder in this video too, that I didn't notice when I was making it. It wasn't until I released the video, which is often the case with these blunders. I don't know I'm making a blunder until I release it and I read the comments and everyone's like, dude, you just added a 1/4 cup of sugar into your pie crust instead of a 1/4 teaspoon. Whoops. Didn't affect the ranking though. Probably helped it. I hope everyone is okay out there. I had to double check this next part just to make sure, because I was like, for a Torte Limousine, do you really want a 1/4 cup of sugar? But that's what it says, and I just follow. I'm a follower. It seems like a lot of sugar for a Torte Limousine, but what the hell do I know? I've never even had it before. Number 7, enormous cream puff au chocolat. This giant ass chocolate cream puff. First video of 2023, and I picked the most indulgent, gluttonous thing I could ever dream of making. One of those videos where I screwed up the first time, so try again. I feel like I need to get it onto a platter. From all the airs came something beautiful. It's a crispy, light choux pastry and very sturdy whipped cream. Wasn't going anywhere. And the chocolate sauce was magical. I mean, how can you go wrong with the chocolate cream puff? A giant one, too. You can't. And number 6 is fruit tarts, strawberry and peach. 2 tarts for the price of 1. My brain can't separate them at this point. I made them together, I ate them together, they're a package deal. So that strawberry tart was a bit messy. It could have been set in the fridge. The peach could have had a less soggy pie crust, but I don't care. Heavenly. 5 is the chicken bouillabaisse, which is one hell of a bowl of chicken soup. Okay, I did make a note with this one. French viewers are telling me I'm saying bouillabaisse wrong. Bouillabaisse. They tell me I'm pronouncing it closer to a naughty word in French. So I was going to check to see how it was actually pronounced.
Bouillabaisse.
So this is the American version.
Bouillabaisse.
Bouillabaisse. I feel like that's what I'm saying. No? British version?
Bouillabaisse.
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 However I'm pronouncing it is making French people go, pardon moi. Number 4, filet steaks with artichoke bottoms and béarnaise sauce. It's named after a king, Tornado Henri IV. Oh, there's potatoes and asparagus here too. In my eyes, this was flawless. It's only for special occasions, but it's a big, indulgent, rich plate of food. It's funny how red my teeth are right there. And right there. I got wine teeth at the end of this video, so it was a great night. Breaking into the top 3 of Julia's with the Pithiviers. Pithiviers. I know it looks like Pithivers. It's Pithiviers. I think this is one of the best puff pastries I've ever made. I guaranteed, for sure. All those layers. Let's listen to this crisp. Quiet on set. Shh. Oh. Whoa. Pithiviers is a classic French dessert. I wasn't familiar with it prior to filming, although it doesn't have to be just a dessert, it can be a savory thing as well, the Pithiviers. This one had an almond cream filling, and that was on point too. Big job to make this whole thing here, but I think this is one of the creations I'm most proud of this year. Number 2, we're going with the beautiful, beautiful cinnamon toast flan, which is something that I came across by accident. I was about to make the creme caramel. I was looking at the recipe for that, and then my eyes kind of darted over to the adjacent page. Cinnamon toast flan. After I spotted that, it was like the meme. You know what meme? I'll put it up on the screen there. Couldn't stop thinking about it after that. Then I made it. Holy hell, did it live up to the hype. The thing is that this was so early in the year that I can't believe that it's made it all the way to number 2 on this list, but that's the power of the flan. This is the kind of first-class grown-up dessert that even a child will enjoy. That's probably why I loved it so much, because it reminds me of French toast and also like those sugary breakfast cereals I'd have as a kid, accompanied, of course, with the world's greatest strawberry sauce. Look at the vibrant red, which will only add to the legend that is the cinnamon toast flan. Okay. Number 1, French onion soup, or as the French call it, onion soup. Which I do feel like I'm cheating just a little bit with placing this so highly on this list, because this is the second time that I've made this soup for Jamie and Julia. First attempt, placed highly too. For the 2021 list, placed 4th. So yeah, it's a solid soup. I was committed this year to improving parts to the soup that needed improvement from the first try, such as making my own beef stock. I found that was a big difference. What else? I caramelized those onions longer than I usually do until I ran out of patience. It's a challenge, right? How dark can you get your caramelized onions? Well, that's as far as I want to push it today. And at the very end, despite Julia's recommendation, I didn't add cognac into one of those bowls of soup. That ended up being the single best bowl of soup I've ever had in this world, I think. Probably. It's quite a claim, but maybe. I'm thinking this is the best bowl of soup I've ever had in my life. First list complete. That's the Julia Child stuff. If anyone is still here, anyone? We're gonna move on to Jamie and Chef. Okay, so with this show, I'm rotating the chefs and the cookbooks. We're switching up cuisines and techniques and difficulty, Thomas Keller, etc., etc. There is really no world where all of these recipes should be placed into a list and ranked side by side the way I'm about to do it, except in my own world. That's what I did. I made a list. I'm just not gonna give up without a fight. So let's start off at the bottom of this list, which is not as deep as the bottom of the previous list. It's better. 18 is Marcella Hazan's olive oil cake, and I gotta consider the whole picture here when I'm ranking this one, because if I had just the ability to casually make a cake without all the drama, this cake would rank much higher. But it is my inability to do so that leaves this cake vulnerable on this list. When I think about the time that I made this cake, I think about all the baggage. I was expecting to walk into the kitchen, it's gonna take an hour or two, tops. Failure after failure, and you can blame it on ungreased cake pans, using the wrong cake pan, being immensely unprepared for what you were about to do. It's dry as hell. You can make up all the excuses in the world. It overshadows the quality of the cake. And the cake was great. Order up! 17 is Marcella Hazan's Parmesan Risotto. Yeah, I enjoyed my time making this one. I enjoyed the results. It needed to be more creamy. I know that too. 16, Fannie Farmer's Chocolate Nougat Cake. Right, that's an interesting little cake right there. Remove the cake. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's nice. A recipe from 1886, so a lot of guesswork to understand what is being said. I wonder if that was a typo. But I got results. Are they correct? Ask Fanny. 15, Marcella Hazan's ravioli with sweet potato filling. This is the video that will forever be known as the time that I tried to cut an egg yolk in half with a knife. Had a big homemade pasta journey this year, and this is my second attempt. So although the ravioli may look a little undercooked here because I was kind of toying around with cook times, I still can't believe it made it look like that. It looks so good. Number 14 is Fannie Farmer's apple pie. Whoa, that's pretty self-explanatory. And who doesn't love apple pie? 13, Thomas Keller's duck roulade with creamed sweet corn and a morel mushroom sauce. So that's kind of funny ranking that up against a rustic apple pie from the 1800s. But here we are. It is a divine and very not practical thing to make at home. But if you do make it at home, you're in for a treat. There's more Thomas Keller coming up. Let's just keep it going. Number 12, Thomas Keller's banana split. This is the most extra dessert I've ever made. It's luxurious, ridiculous. Okay, so we got a homemade crepe, homemade banana ice cream, and then you shape that into like the veg shape of a banana. You freeze it, surround it with chocolate sauce on the plate with cherries on top. It sounds incredible, just saying that. It was. The only downfall was the ice cream was melting fast when I was plating it. Oh, I thought I would have more time. And that's because I was a bit impatient with chilling it. Didn't affect my overall enjoyment of the dish, but it needs to be mentioned. Number 11, Marcella Hazan's Bolognese Tagliatelle. It's the most perfect, comforting plate of food you could ever dream of. And although I had my struggles... Okay, so we have fallen apart here. Oh my God. It's just too good a thing to rank it any lower than this. More pasta coming up. Number 10, Marcella Hazan's spaghetti and pesto sauce. All homemade, of course. I ate the hell out of this one too. This is where I was finding my footing with making the pasta, and the sauce was incredible. I was firing on all cylinders with this one. Number 9, TK's Oysters and Pearls. It's his signature dish, and my first foray into making Michelin type food. This is the first episode of Jamie and Chef right here. As a glimpse into what Thomas Keller had in store for me for the rest of the year. Refinement, Jamie, refinement. Spoon 2 oysters onto the what? I was kind of freaked out trying this recipe out. So I did my homework. I read this recipe over and over again because I didn't know what to expect. And I tried to match as closely as I could to the cookbook. And before anyone says it, I'm aware that I used my metal spoons with the caviar. Apparently, you're not supposed to do that. Uh-oh. Here we go. 8 is Marcella's spaghetti carbonara. I'm scared to talk about carbonara on the internet. I loved it, and that's what matters. Lucky number 7, Yotman Ottolenghi's green pancakes with lime butter. This is a one for me right here. I was remaking the first recipe I ever attempted on this channel 6 years ago to now. Order up! And the improvement was vast. Number 6, can you believe we're at number 6 of the second list? Way to go, everyone. Marcella Hazan's green lasagna. There's a lot of components with this dish, and there's like a big sense of accomplishment when I was finished. And it was green. 5. Okay. TK's salmon cornets. A most divine canapé. 4 is Fannie Farmer's clam chowder. I learn a lot about cooking after I've released the videos on YouTube and I start reading the comments section. I have the greatest viewers in all the land. The comments are just fire. Helpful, friendly, motivating. They're the best. 99% of them are the best. And they complement the video so well because there's a lot of things I don't know or I do incorrectly or poorly. And if you're ever curious of what could be improved or what to avoid, just read those comments while you're watching the video because the answers are all up in there. So, that being said, look how I'm opening the clams here. I'm pretending like the clams don't know I'm here right now. I'm not jostling them around. When they start to relax, the shells open a little bit. And then that's when I pounce. Oh, victory is sweet. First time ever doing it, I'm just lost. I'm lost, boy. Super time consuming what I'm doing here and super ridiculous. Obviously in hindsight, because now I know better. I know how I should be opening clams. You steam them first. Anyway, I got them all open and that clam chowder was insane. With number 3 here, which is, I need a refresher. Gnocchi. Marcella Hazan's homemade gnocchi and tomato sauce. I love to see something that is so simple and with so few ingredients near the top of this list. Okay, that's gonna be the last simple one near the top of this list. I had read all about Marcella's tomato sauce prior to making it. I had heard it was a barn burner. Tomatoes, butter, onions, salt. Simple and beautiful. Throw in some heavenly potato dumplings.
Gnocchi.
You got something pretty special. Almost kicked the liquor cabinet. Number 2, Thomas Keller's coffee and donuts. I declared in the video that this was gonna give the Cinnamon Toast Flan a run for its money for the year's best dessert. Move over, Cinnamon Toast Flan, there's a new kid in town. The joy that this thing brought me in the moment, and I'm talking like super fresh donuts, a cappuccino semi-freddo that has been resting on the counter for like 10 minutes so it's softened a little bit. You got some hot, frothy milk on the very top of that. It's a balancing act of 2 different temperatures there, which makes for a maximum donut dunking experience. It was, I don't want to say life-changing, that's intense, but it was really nice. Funny thing is I tried to replicate the same experience that I had on the show, like the joy that brought me for Christy when she got home from work because there was leftovers and I was like, hey Christy, you gotta try this thing. Wasn't the same experience for her. We just couldn't recapture the magic. It was still really good, but the moment that I had on that show, unbeatable. It will live on. perfect segue into this. Yes, Christy does eat the food that I make for the show. She just doesn't eat on camera with me. Sometimes she's not home. Sometimes she's at work. Sometimes. Number 1, Thomas Keller's butter poached lobster, leeks, Palm Maxime, and red beet essence. The recipe was a journey. It was an odyssey. There's just so many steps to complete. Unlike a Michelin star restaurant where you got a staff and you're doing a lot of these little steps in advance, or there's people that are helping out with them, or there's just people that focus only on that one step. When you're making it at home in one night, it really adds up. All the little things. It is very, very time consuming, and I got exhausted. So tired from this recipe. I can't even think straight right now. Snap out of it. TK has this method for poaching a lobster. I think it's his own method. Like, he came up with this. At least that's what I read. And it's interesting. It's somewhat controversial, I guess you could say. You know, some negative YouTube comments after seeing it, and that's fair. But I have never had lobster like that before. It was perfect and tender and the best I've ever had, I think. But with a dish like that, it's not just one component, it's how everything is working together. And everything was working together over time. One word, exquisite. That is that. Now we have 2 separate lists. Let's bring this sucker home. Let's wrap this up. The worst dessert of the year, the flaming souffle from Jamie and Julia. The best, between the cinnamon toast flan or the coffee and the donuts. Difficult decision, but if I have to choose one, coffee and the donuts in the moment, can't be beat. Worst dish of the year, I gotta give it to the aspic. It's 2 years in a row, 2-time loser. Dressy chicken and aspic surrounding chicken liver mousse. All right, this is a little more difficult. The best dish of the year, it's between the French onion soup or the butter poached lobster with leeks, Palm Maxime, red beet essence. I was leaving this one to a game time decision. I'm gonna check the reactions from both of those videos. Which one was I more enthusiastic about? I'm thinking this is the best bowl of soup I've ever had in my life. All right, I was pretty thrilled about that. What about the other one? I'm giving it to the butter poached lobster. TK, you done it. Dethrone Julia, you magnificent SOB. He has cleaned up this year. He got the best dessert and the best dish. Some of the best cooking I've ever cooked. You just really gotta dedicate the time. Commit yourself. Have a YouTube cooking show. Take it seriously. Get it done. And it's gonna be really great. Next time you see me, I will be back where I belong, right there. I hope you're ready for another year of this. So buckle up. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay. So I need to oil it. Oiled. Okay, this needs to be oiled.